I want to be honest about something most Christians are afraid to say out loud. There was a moment, maybe more than one, where you were going through the worst thing of your life, and you prayed, and God did nothing. At least, that is what it felt like. You begged Him to stop what was happening, to intervene, to send help, to change something, anything. And the situation continued. The abuse continued. The illness progressed. The marriage ended anyway. The person left anyway. The job was lost anyway. The diagnosis did not change. And somewhere, in the middle of all of that, a thought formed that you have never said in church. God watched this happen, and He did not stop it. What kind of God does that? I am not going to talk you out of that question today. I am going to answer it, because the answer is not what you think. And by the end of this video, you will see what was actually happening. In the moments it looked like God was doing nothing. Stay with me, because I want to show you a story in Scripture where God watched someone suffer for 4 days when He could have arrived in 4 minutes. 4 days, and the person He let suffer was not a stranger, not an enemy, not someone He had written off. It was His closest friend. And what Jesus did and did not do during those 4 days is the most complete answer the Bible gives to the question, why does God watch suffering and not stop it? John 11. Lazarus, one of Jesus' closest friends, became critically ill. His sisters, Mary and Martha, sent an urgent message to Jesus. Lord, the one you love is sick, not a stranger, not an acquaintance. The one you love. They appealed to the relationship. They reminded Jesus of the love He had for their brother. And John 11, 5-6 records something that has confused people for 2,000 years. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when He heard that Lazarus was sick, He stayed where he was 2 more days. Read that again. Because He loved them, He stayed. Not despite the love, because of it. He received the message. He knew Lazarus was dying. He had the power to heal him from where he stood. And He did not move for 2 more days. And during those 2 days, Lazarus died and was buried for 4 days. By the time Jesus arrived, Martha met Him on the road and said the words that I believe every suffering Christian has felt at some point. John 11:21. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. If you had been here. She did not doubt His power. She doubted His presence. If you had been here means she felt He was not. That He was somewhere else while her brother died. That He received the message and chose not to come. Does that sound familiar? Have you ever felt, God, if you had been here, this would not have happened? Have you ever felt like Jesus received your prayer and chose not to arrive in time? What you are about to see is what was actually happening during those 4 days. Because here is what nobody tells you about the story of Lazarus. The 4 days were not an accident. They were not a delay. They were not God being too busy or too distant or too slow. The 4 days were the plan. And the reason they had to be 4 days and not 2, not 1, is one of the most specific and deliberate details in the entire Gospel of John. Let me show you why. In some Jewish traditions of that era, there was a belief that hope remained for 3 days after death. Whether or not Mary and Martha held that belief, what is certain is this. By day 4, everyone present knew there was no natural explanation for what was about to happen. There was hope for 3 days that something could change. That is why, by Jewish custom, mourning intensified on day 4. Because day 4 meant it was over. There was no coming back. The soul had departed. The body had begun to decay. John 11:39, Martha said, "Lord, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." 4 days. Not because God was late, because God was waiting for the moment when no one, in any culture, in any tradition, in any belief system, could explain what happened next as anything other than a miracle. Jesus did not come to heal a sick man, because a healed man could be explained away. He was not really that sick. He would have recovered anyway. It was a coincidence. Jesus came on day 4 to resurrect a dead man, so that there would be no explanation, no alternative theory, no way to look at what happened and call it anything other than the power of God. The delay was not absence, the delay was precision. God was not watching Lazarus suffer and doing nothing. He was timing something that would shake an entire city and change eternity. And the suffering, as real as it was, as devastating as it was the necessary darkness before a light so bright that no one could deny it. John 11:45. Therefore many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him. Many believed because of the 4 days, not despite them. Now I need to address the hardest version of this question, because some of you are watching this, and your story did not end like Lazarus. The person you prayed for did not come back. The marriage was not restored, the illness was not healed, the door was not opened, and the question is harder. What was God doing in my 4 days if the miracle never came? This is the most important question in this video, and I am not going to give you a cheap answer. Stay with me. Before I answer that, if you are watching this and you have had your own 4 days, a season where God seemed absent, where the miracle did not come, where the silence felt like abandonment, type "I had 4 days" in the comments. Just those 4 words. Because I want you to know, your 4 days were not invisible. And what I am about to share may be the thing you needed to hear about those days more than anything else. John 11:35. Jesus wept, the shortest verse in the Bible. 2 words. Jesus, who knew he was about to raise Lazarus. Jesus, who knew this story had a resurrection ending. Jesus, who orchestrated every detail of these 4 days, wept. He stood at the tomb of his friend and cried, not because he did not know what was coming, because he felt what the people around him were feeling. The grief was real to him. The loss was real to him. The 4 days of waiting mattered to him. And John 11:33 says, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. The original Greek word, embrimaomai, means a deep groaning, an emotional turbulence. God was not watching suffering from a distance, unmoved and calculating. He was in it, feeling it, groaning over it. And this matters enormously for the people whose miracle did not come in this life. Because here is what I believe Scripture teaches. The miracle of Lazarus was a preview, not the full version. Scripture does not record Lazarus' second death, but as a mortal man, his resurrection was temporary. A preview, not the final version. The resurrection Jesus offers is permanent. And Romans 8:18 says, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Not worth comparing, which means for those whose 4 days did not end in this life the way they prayed. God is not finished with that story. He is simply writing it in a longer book than we can currently read. The 4 days are not the end of the chapter. They are part of a story so large, so complete, so eternal, that what we call suffering, what we call abandonment, what we call silence, will one day be seen as the precise and intentional setup for something we do not yet have eyes to see. 2 Corinthians 4:17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Light and momentary. Paul wrote that while carrying wounds, shipwrecks, and suffering that most of us will never experience, he called his imprisonment light and momentary, not because it was easy, but because he could see what it was producing from the perspective of eternity. Your 4 days are producing something, even when you cannot feel it, even when you cannot see it, even when it has lasted longer than 4 days. God is not watching and doing nothing. He is working in the unseen with a precision and a purpose that will one day be completely clear. Now I want to give you 3 things to hold on to when it feels like God is watching and doing nothing. 3 anchors rooted in what Jesus did in the story of Lazarus that will keep you from giving up before the 4th day ends. And the 3rd one is the one I want you to remember every time the silence gets loud. Anchor number 1. The delay is not denial. When Jesus stayed 2 more days, it was not rejection, it was redirection toward a greater miracle. The next time you feel like God is not moving, ask a different question. Not, why is he not answering? But, what is he preparing? Because the God who waited 4 days to raise Lazarus is the same God who is watching your situation and timing something that cannot be rushed and cannot be explained away. Habakkuk 2:3. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. It will certainly come. Your 4 days have an appointed time. Anchor number 2. He is weeping with you, not watching from a distance. John 11:35 is not a minor detail. It is the most important emotional revelation in the entire chapter. Jesus wept, which means in your 4 days, he is not in heaven watching with clinical detachment. He is with you, in the grief, in the confusion, in the unanswered prayer, feeling what you feel, groaning what you groan. You are not alone in the waiting. Anchor number 3, and this is the one I want you to carry. He is always working, even when he appears to be standing still. While Lazarus was in the tomb, Jesus was traveling toward him. The stone had not moved, the grief had not lifted, the situation had not changed, but Jesus was moving. And John 11:44, the dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. He came out. 4 days of death, undone in a moment. Your situation, however long it has been, however final it feels, has not outlasted the power of the one who is moving toward you. He was never standing still. He was always on his way. Let me close with this. John 11:4. Before Jesus even left, before he traveled to Bethany, before the 4 days were over, he said something to his disciples about Lazarus' sickness that I want you to hear about your situation. This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. He said that before the miracle, before the tomb was opened, before Lazarus walked out, before anyone could see what he was doing. He declared the ending before the middle made sense. And I want to declare the same thing over your situation. Whatever your 4 days are, however long they have lasted, however silent God has seemed, this is not your ending. This is for his glory, and what he is about to do with what you have been through will leave people with no explanation other than God. If what you are carrying has become something darker, something too heavy to hold alone, do not carry it alone. God has never asked you to. If today reached you, Save this video. Come back to it when the 4 days feel like they will never end, and share it with someone who is sitting at the tomb, wondering where Jesus is, because they need to know he is already on his way, and he has never once been late.